There is a certain majesty about the Kalahari. Perhaps it's the vastness, the dance of the light on the rippling sand. It's a harsh and unforgiving place. But there is beauty in its severity. Rooted for 200 years, a camel thorn acacia provides a green oasis in an arid landscape. Born of the Kalahari sand, a majestic acacia stretches its branches towards the heavens as if to envelop the surrounding landscape. It has felt the environment change over time. Many depend on this magnificent tree for food, shelter, and a hunting ground. In winter, the Kalahari is a desolate place. The freezing temperatures and the lack of water drive migratory birds and animals to greener pastures. Those who remain obtain water from plants. To quench its thirst, the camel thorn probes its roots almost 200 feet into the earth. Blessed with leaves throughout the year, in winter they're covered in dust. Yet in this shabby state, this camel thorn is not as isolated as you might think. A home is within its embrace. Built to withstand the Kalahari's harsh temperatures, this nest is occupied throughout the year. As their name suggests, sociable weavers are seldom quiet, unless asleep. And their incessant chattering, a constant reminder of their company-loving nature. For years, the tree has cradled this giant haystack as the weavers build and maintain the nest, one generation after another. In a good year, they number almost 500, each pair with its own living quarters. But in the dead of winter, with nighttime temperatures dropping to 5 degrees Fahrenheit, up to 5 weavers cram into those chambers. As the colony expands, one nest is not enough for the weavers. And they are already working on a second home. Sociable weavers are clever little engineers. They've figured out that they need to use different materials for different parts of the nest. But ambition has got the better of them. Gravity claims an entire wing of the one-ton haystack, crushing the small weavers. nights in the Kalahari make for frozen mornings. The air crisp, filled with anticipation. Everything seems to be waiting for the sun. Plants are covered in shards of ice. The camel thorn is more resistant to frost than other Kalahari flora. The proteins in its leaves keep it frost-free. The warmth of the sun compels the world to thaw. But the frost has done its damage. The leaves of the blackthorn bushes around the acacia die. But nothing in this harsh place goes to waste. The dead leaves fall and return valuable nutrients back to the soil. Winter keeps a firm grip on the Kalahari. It is the start of the dry season, and the heavy summer rains are still months away. Meerkats emerge with the early morning sun. The last meerkat to enter the burrow the previous night is the first to appear this morning. After a night crammed into a burrow, meerkats relish a bit of sunbathing. They face the sun and use their tummies as solar panels. Today they are well aware of a female pale chanting goshawk perched in the camelthorn's branches. She and her mate often hunt from this vantage point. But the female goshawk isn't interested in the mob of meerkats. She's waiting for her mate to return. When one starts grooming, the others can't resist returning the favor. They eat the ticks and fleas they find on one another. All this mutual attention distracts them. It's rare for them to miss something as important as the male goshawk returning. But where did he go? There's a stranger in the mix. A tawny eagle. These eagles are notorious for stealing from other raptors, like goshawks. The male goshawk fiercely defends his turf. Winter is drawing to a close. Each day warmer than the last. The land is completely parched. Every last leaf is scorched to a cinder. Although summer is the rainy season, spring always signals promises of change, with small bursts of rain. The camel thorn responds to those promises. Buds suddenly emerge. As they open, they reveal bright yellow spheres, the camel thorn's flowers. With time, the golden orbs become more and more and more. And soon the tree is covered in a bright yellow cloak, ready to seduce its pollinators. Those with wings and legs can go and search for their mates, but a tree is forever rooted. The acacia needs to entice others to it with a sweetly scented aroma. The flowers belong to the insects, as beetles, flies, ants and wasps all eat their pollen. In return, they distribute the pollen between the blossoms, thus pollinating them. Intoxicated by the blooms, these spotted leaf beetles plunge headfirst into the bristles to devour their pollen. Vespid wasps also swarm to the flowers, but for a different reason. These parasitoid wasps lay their eggs inside larvae of other insects, hidden in the flowers. Underneath the sociable weaver's nest, a swarm of red paper wasps is constructing their papery houses. These comb-like dwellings are made of plant material, fibers from dead wood and the wasp's own saliva. The weavers welcome their presence. The wasps act as guardians to the colony, driving away the weaver's predators. They flap their wings at a rate of more than 200 beats per second. A warning to enemies: stay away. In return, they get a good base to secure their nests, as well as a source of food when flies are attracted to the weaver's droppings. And with that, it is over. Spring comes to an end. But not before the start of something new. Pollination was a success, and tiny pods peek from the camelthorn's flowers. Where flowers bloom, so does the future. These newborn seed pods hold tomorrow's generation. As the desert's mantle burns twilight amber, an untamed chorus resonates through the beauty of the night. There isn't anyone more outspoken than the African barking gecko. Its call can be heard several hundred feet away. Only male geckos have a yellow throat. To daunt their territorial rivals, they use the entrance of their burrows as a resonating chamber, pronouncing their size and aggressiveness. In seasons of abundance, they leave their burrows to hunt for their quarry. These include termites, ants, and beetles. Mostly they are sit-and-wait predators. Food or foe? Food. Each night, the Kalahari drowns in the splendor of the great beyond. Each dawn is a reawakening. Summer's first rays foreshadow how extreme the season is going to be. Spring's promises of rain never came. The desert gently withers at the sun's swelter. With its ability to endure immensely hot conditions, a gemsbok is the embodiment of the land. A slow metabolism allows the gemsbok to survive much of the year without drinking water. Gemsbok are able to raise their body temperature to an astounding 113 degrees Fahrenheit. By doing so, they minimize water loss because they sweat less. They avert overheating by cooling their blood to the brain through a network of blood vessels in their nose. Thorn-dwelling ants emerge with the change of the season. 3 ant species use the tree's hollow thorns as breeding chambers, with cocktail ants being the most abundant. Red acacia ants only leave their nest to start a new colony on a different branch. And when a browser damages one of the spines, black Catulicus ants move their larvae to another thorn. To protect their home, these tiny warriors will attack anything moving. As a reward for their chivalry, the tree provides them with sweet drops of nectar found between its leaves. Individual ants are so small, about 20 of them live in a single thorn. Like little ant cottages on a branch, a colony is spread out amongst multiple thorns. Beneath the haystack, the queen of the red paper wasp colony is able to control the sex of her offspring by storing sperm in her body. If she fertilizes her eggs, she produces female wasps. Unfertilized eggs produce male wasps. Members of the colony meticulously clean and maintain her eggs until they transform into larvae. Adult wasps vibrate their bodies to stimulate the larvae, which in return release nutritional saliva, a welcome treat for the mature wasps. When big enough, the larvae encase themselves inside cocoons of silk to develop into adult wasps. Synonymous with summer is the piercing sound of the Kalahari. And all that noise comes from this little guy. A single cicada's call can be heard from as far as 1 mile away. It is the male that produces this note by vibrating membranes in his abdomen. The primary reason for this racket is to attract a mate. Today, the cicada is drawn to the camel thorn for a different reason. From underneath his abdomen, a straw-like mouthpart pierces the camel thorn's bark and sucks out some sap. With an army of ants on a warpath, harvesting sap proves to be a challenge. A cicada has to drink large quantities of tree sap to get enough nutrients. But what goes in must come out. They spray it away from where they feed because sugars in this discharge would promote mold. For the weavers, mid-morning is the time to get clean on the camel thorn's branches. It's an endless production of preening, scratching, and fluffing out feathers. But in the midst of this performance, a visitor arrives. This is not a social call. The acacia pied barbet and its mate are waiting for the weavers to go and forage. These birds are squatters, taking advantage of the weaver's hospitality. They use the weaver's nest for roosting, but also breeding. The barbets have to occupy a chamber before the weavers return, or there will be hell to pay. The female gets inside, but the male is stuck outside, and the weavers are back. Because of their short wingspan, barbets aren't the greatest flyers. And the male tires quickly. The weavers make it look so easy. The male barbet desperately tries to join his mate inside the nest. The weavers won't allow it. uninvited guests, barbets are rather aggressive, and squabbles like this one are not uncommon. Another squatter patiently watches the battle from above. The pygmy falcon is the smallest raptor in Africa, as small as a pigeon. It doesn't build its own nest, so the falcon relies on the sociable weavers for a place to stay. Whitewashed walls at the nest entrance reveal which chamber belongs to the falcon. For the most part, these tiny hunters have a peaceful coexistence with the weavers, but they do occasionally prey on their host's chicks. A favorite snack of this stealthy predator is the Kalahari tree skink. No coincidence that this reptile likes to reside within the camelthorn's trunk. The skink can't regulate its own body temperature, and a sunny branch is the perfect spot to stretch out. Lazy lizards are an easy target. But these lizards have excellent climbing abilities, ideal for a quick getaway. When threatened, the skink takes refuge inside the camelthorn's trunk. Outwitted, the falcon needs to go in search for food elsewhere. On days like these, one can feel the desert's restlessness. That impatience for the dark sky to release its much-needed offering. The land craves rain. But the skies only taunt the dry earth. The clouds move on to release their promise elsewhere. Leaving the Kalahari in an unyielding swelter. The wind and dust are merciless. The heat takes its toll on plants and even the most robust animals. With temperatures as high as 113 degrees Fahrenheit, life takes to the shade. For a yellow mongoose, it's the perfect time to bond. Adapted to these harsh conditions, the camelthorn is the largest tree in the Kalahari and provides a welcome sanctuary. But in its shade, something sinister is hiding. Here, sand tampan ticks bury themselves in the sand and wait for unwary travelers to lie down. They respond to the slightest increase in carbon dioxide above ground and emerge to attach to their hosts. A springbok, well equipped for this invasion, gets rid of these little pests with a tooth comb. But a scrub hare is not as lucky as that, and the ticks target its exposed ears. In just 30 minutes of sipping blood from an oozing wound, a tick's size increases tenfold. The scorching sun draws one of the Kalahari's more formidable specimens from its slumber. A Cape cobra is on the trail of something. Tasting the air, the snake uses its forked tongue to determine the source of this delightful aroma. The Cape cobra is a first-rate tree climber. It uses scales and body muscles to grip the rough bark, working its way up the acacia's trunk. The snake is determined to get to the weaver's chicks and explores their nest from above, looking for a way in. The weavers design their nest with entrances facing downward to make it difficult for predators to reach. By hanging from an adjacent branch, the snake outwits them. It works its way from one chamber to another. The adult weavers can only look on helplessly as the serpent devours their young. In his eagerness for food, the snake evicts two defenseless chicks from their shelter. Unable to do anything, the parents can only watch as a tyrant beetle makes a meal of the young. A single cobra can plunder up to 70% of the weaver's chicks and eggs in one season. But not today. The cobra loses its grip. Summer's first drops of rain are so slight, they evaporate almost as soon as they touch the earth. As the sun bids farewell to yet another day, Kalahari sky roars into the gloom. It is all the desert needs for life to endure. This is the beginning of the summer rains. A fresh start. With fruit hanging from the tree's dried flowers, the camel thorn's mature pods are now most vulnerable. This is when the tree's biggest adversary appears. Bruchid beetles begin to emerge from their cocoons. It's not an easy task for such a tiny insect. The beetles then head off to find a mate. While the fruit is still soft, the female lays an egg on one of the ripening pods. When it hatches, the larva bores through the pod wall and burrows into a ripening seed. Here it will remain, feeding on the camelthorn seed until it is ready to emerge. has transformed the landscape. No longer an isolated oasis, the camelthorn is lost in an ocean of green. Beneath its branches, a blanket of devil thorns face the sun. The land is covered with a sea of yellow, teeming with legions of living things. Each year sees the return of the brown-veined whites. These butterflies migrate 1,800 miles across southern Africa, over the Indian Ocean, to the island of Madagascar. They stop every 20 minutes to refuel with nectar or risk dying from dehydration. The butterflies puddle in the mud for salt, which helps with reproduction. On the camelthorn's branches, something has caught the attention of a colony of pugnacious ants. By tickling these orange globs, they get a sticky droplet as a treat. What looks like clumps of amber gum are actually tiny bugs called scale insects. These insects attach themselves to the tree's branches to feed on the sugary sap within. But here they are exposed and need protection, so they lure the ants with a drop of sweet dew. In return, the ants vigorously defend their honeypots. They are one of the most aggressive ant species. Their colony nests in the ground underneath the camelthorn. Where the female workers frantically scurry about, searching for food. Mostly animal matter, dead or alive. In this case, a burrowing spider's web. Between the camelthorn's branches, a garden orb web spider has constructed her web. These webs can stretch up to 2 feet or more across. This elegant huntress can't see very well, so relies on vibrations and tension on her web to locate her prey. She secures an adult antlion by wrapping it up in silk. She's having a good day and wraps several hostages in little bundles, saving them for later. During these midsummer days, clouds are a more regular occurrence. The camelthorn drinks in the deluge of the day. But the nest also soaks up the rain, making it dangerously heavy. Another section slips from the camel thorn's grasp. The white butterflies cling onto wet foliage. Luckily, they have water-resistant scales, so they don't get too wet. With water and food in such abundance, the wet season is the perfect time for the children of the Kalahari to be born. Underneath the camel thorn, a baby scrub hare waits motionless for his mother to return. She needs to forage, or she won't be able to produce enough milk for the suckling. His survival depends on it. She's not alone. From the acacia's branches, one of the hare's biggest foes is watching her. But she's not worried. The eagle owl sees much better at night and rarely hunts during the day. For now, it's just roosting in the tree's dense foliage. In breeding season, the sociable weavers have their work cut out for them, bringing hundreds of insects back to the nest for their hungry chicks. When a youngster is ready to fledge, the parents encourage their chick to leave the nest. When it does, it will stay dependent on its parents for a few more weeks, endlessly screeching for a handout. Ten months since they first emerged, the acacia's seed pods have dried and hardened, protecting their contents against the elements. One by one, they seize their independence. These fallen pods are irresistible. They're a great source of food, much more nutritional than plain old grass. The ground squirrels don't only eat the husk, they also eat the seeds, destroying them, preventing any chance for the next generation to take root. The squirrels aren't the only ones who violate the camel thorn's pods. Inside the dried fruit, a bruchid larva forged itself a small chamber within one of the seeds. The larva feeds on the inner layers of the seed, terminating the future of the tree's saplings. It then eats its way out of the pod and falls to the ground. It then encases itself in a cocoon. But these pests can be stopped. To germinate, the camel thorn seeds need to be eaten. The grey duiker eats the pods, larvae, seeds, and all. The seeds pass through the antelope's stomach unharmed. But the digestive fluids kill the bruchid larvae. springbuck, and duikers are the tree's saviors, eating the camel thorn's pods. They scatter the seeds across the Kalahari. Wrapped in their own packages of nutrient-rich compost. Softened by the digestive fluids, it's now easier for the seeds to germinate. And this is the end result, a young camel thorn. A new beginning. With luck, the camel thorn saplings will also be rooted here for centuries. This magnificent tree plays an essential role in an unforgiving landscape. Many depend on it for food, for shelter, and as a hunting ground. It is a relationship as old as the Kalahari itself.